Hello and welcome to this video. It is finally spooky season, which means Halloween crafts. And I'm going to share the first craft here I'm doing, even though it was half a fail, just because I wanted to show you guys what I tried here. I'm probably gonna try this again next year, just different. But just to show you guys the process that I did, and it should work if you do things a bit differently than I did. But basically I skewered some foam balls that I picked up a while back and then used some tissue. The tissue I used is a bit too thin, so I tried layering it up, but it wrinkled quite a bit when it got soaked in my water glue mixture. This literally just is vinyl glue with some water, and I put it in a bottle where I added some holes in the lid to make it easier to spread around. And the mixture worked, but again, the tissue wasn't the right one. I would probably either choose thicker tissue or probably actually more flowy fabric next time. I think that would look nicer. But yeah, I just soaked my tissues in some glue water and then I draped them over carefully. I had to cut up the small tissue like a little bit smaller for the small sphere, and that worked really well. I then tried to drape them over with folds a little bit more, so it looks like a little bit more ghosty, if that makes sense, and a bit more purposeful, and then I let them dry. And here comes the even more so failed part. I think the first part you can still work with, add some eyes on top, maybe paint some patterns, and I think they would turn out cute as little hanging ghosts. Very simple project, maybe even for children, you know, a little bit of a fun mess. But I decided, let's try a pastel paint pour. Usually I choose very vibrant autumnal colors, but I wanted to try some pastel this time around, because I thought it may look cute. So I picked up this paint pour set a while back that has pastel colors. I followed the instructions on how to mix it. And this is the consistency I would have used for when I put it on a flat canvas too. But for this one it was way too liquid and it didn't really work. I really wanted to cover the entire ghost, so I went in with a little mixing stick and tried to move the colors around. But yeah, as soon as they ran down the side, they pretty much mixed completely and created this desaturated pink. So I tried to fix that by adding some of the leftover gray and pink on top and little stripes. It didn't really help. It completely mixed again. Even though in the beginning before it dried it actually looked quite cute, but the more I let it sit, it just was yeah, no. I did mix it up a little bit thicker for the next ghost, and I poured way slower to try and cover everything. And it worked on the top for a little moment. I tried to set it with my heat gun, sadly it didn't work, because this takes a while longer to dry. But yeah, it worked for a moment, but still not too much. So I tried one more time, just a tiny bit thicker, because I already had problems with the previous one to cover the tissue. Again, in the beginning it worked, then it didn't. I don't think this medium and paint pour stuff is gonna work, at least not with the colors I use. To be fair, it's a fairly cheap set. I think if you have set with better colors where the pigments are more vibrant, I think maybe they won't mix as badly. But yeah, this one's clearly made for canvas stuff, but that's okay. So yeah, it was failed at this point, and I just added some little shading with just a wash that I mixed a while back for model paint stuff. So it's literally just black and brown paint mixed with a lot of water in a spray bottle. And I think it looks kind of cute. They still have some of the lighter colored spots, and dark spots definitely help to make them look like they're dirty bedsheet cover ghosts, like they were in a dirty attic or something. I still think it adds some of the cuteness, but it's definitely by far not the pastel vibe or the idea I wanted to go with. I still wanted to add eyes, so I sculpted them with polymer clay, baked them, added highlights, added some varnish, and then I poked holes in the tops to hang them. I did remove the boards that I used as like a support. The styrofoam did melt a little bit from my heat gun attempt, but luckily not too much because like I didn't really see that it was melting. I actually didn't use that high of a setting, but I guess that means these are not too heat resistant, and it's probably not good at all to have them anywhere near heat because you don't know what kind of fumes they give off. So good to know for the future. But yeah, I just tied some fishing line through their heads and hung them up. And they're definitely gonna stay with me this entire Halloween, but I think I'm gonna retry next year. But I did actually dip some canvases in the flown down paint, like the paint that ran off the sides and pulled underneath the project, because I thought it was just such a waste to just have it sit there and let dry. So I went in with like a block of tiny canvases I had, just dipped them in like spots where the paint looked really cool. It is a little bit more mixed than when you do a normal paint pour, because when you pull it up the colors do mix a little bit more, but it still has a really nice effect, and this really showed me that yeah, these paints were meant more for like flat canvas paint pour. And I guess you can totally like actually use the fabric like and that you wanna make the ghosties out of and like put it flat onto like a canvas or something and do a paint pour on top. And I think that's what I'm gonna try next year probably, but for this year I decided, okay, I'm just gonna mainly focus on these canvases to make some cute artworks. And since I have this kind of pastel, still like foggy looking background, I decided, hey, let's start out with a spider. So I just used a little round sponge, dabbed the body, feathered the edges out a little bit to make it look really nice and fluffy, and added some little tiny legs and some beady eyes, and that was literally the spider. I wanted to make these paintings very simple because it was a tiny scale. Like usually when I paint, I like to add like a lot of different colors for my shading and stuff. I don't just go in with pure black most of the times. But since, like especially for the ghost, since it is supposed to look less lively, like if I had colors it would look more lively, but I really wanted this like less lively but still cute look. So I just chose white and black and mixed them to like a gray for this project. So I drew a little ghosty and added some arms because this little ghosty is giving us a flower. I shaded the arms like a little bit lighter than the body, which is also a reason why I didn't go over the body again and like highlight some of the creases. I wanted it to be a bit darker. I just went over on the top of the like head to highlight things, because I wanted the contrast between the arms so I don't struggle too much to make them visible, and I didn't really want to use outlines. I wanted to keep it simple. So I just used some like pure white for the arms to like highlight them and then shade them with a little bit of black from the bottom. And I'm trying to like blend them into the body a little bit more, but still make them visibly like different, just so you can really like see them. And then I gave the little ghosty a flower. I chose a like dried flower because I thought it was very fitting for the topic. So I just used some like cream tones and brown tones and shaded a little tiny flower. I didn't really have like a flower reference. I just went like free-handed it, and like at first it looked quite nice until I added a little bit more of the shading, and then it kind of looked wonky, but I trusted the process and added a little bit more detail, and in the end it actually turned out pretty cute. So I'm quite happy. I think the idea of a ghosty giving us like a little dried flower that it had like in its possession for a while or found somewhere is like really adorable. And it just melts my heart. Like this is such a cute artwork. And I'm so happy I had the idea for this. I think like really the highlight of the paint pour craft were these tiny canvases. Like the ghost again, I have to work like on and like make them way differently next year. I mean, the base idea with like having the styrofoam molds as the support and then adding like glue to like a fabric or something like clearly works. But yeah, definitely need to work on it. But these tiny canvases were so much fun. I wasn't planning on actually painting all of them. in the end I did though. I was planning like to only paint the ghost and the spider. But yeah, no, I got stuck into it and I spent like a full like 3 hours just like painting away. I know 3 hours seems long, but that also includes drying times in between layers, because if you like work with blacks and whites and stuff, you need like a bit more drying time before you can put another layer on top so the colors don't mix together too much. For this one I actually really loved how the background looked. It kind of reminded me of like wallpaper where the colors ran down when it like got soaked in water. Or something like, and I decided, hey, let's add like a tiny, very simple like spider outline and spider webs. And this is actually not paint, this is gold leaf liquid, and I wanted to have these spider webs very subtle, so I added a little bit of this like pearlescent powder, mica powder, in white, and on a certain light you can really see how glittery and shiny it is. I did wipe off the excess a little bit and added like a little more in some spots where I felt like it was lacking. But yeah, it's a very simple and hidden kind of artwork, but it was a lot of fun to make, and you have to remember that like spider webs you can only see in certain lights too, so that's like kind of the effect I wanted to go for. I didn't know if it would work out. If it wouldn't have, I would have added like probably some silver or gold leaf on top, but it actually perfectly did, and I think it's a very cute and simple little idea. And then I got stuck into the last one, and of course the last one was the one I went a little bit more over the top with. So I really wanted to add a pumpkin, and so I drew like some little clouds in the background to make it look foggy. I wanted to have this like in the garden foggy vibe, and I actually chose the canvas that had the least amount of interesting colors, but I still kept like the color separation a little bit. The cloud just helped to make it look like one part is more of the sky and one part is more of the like ground. And then I went in with like yellows, browns, oranges. I did mix in a little bit of blue into my oranges to like saturate it down to do the shading. But I mainly just went with the flow and like wet blended everything with my acrylics and just, you know, try to make a pumpkin, but not like a realistic one, just a cute little simple, I don't know, just like free-handed pumpkin basically. And I had so much fun with this project. I spent way too long on this one. But yeah, basically adding like a lot of highlights with yellows, adding in like a little bit of blue to like the base orange I used for the pumpkin to like saturate it down to like the shading, going back and forth, adding a cute little stem. By this point I was like, okay, this is really cute, but I kind of want to make it even more fun. So I decided one thing that Halloween needs always are cute little bats. So I wanted to add one. And with this guy I went in with pure black everywhere. I like tried to always water down my paints a little bit to like get finer lines, and it worked out pretty well. It's a bit harder on canvas to get like straight lines if you use pure like really thick paint. But when you water it down a little bit, it may need some more layers, but it definitely helps like getting cleaner, sharper outlines. And then once the black was dried, I added in some purple as like highlights. And since the pumpkin was very yellow, I thought, hey, why not add some like moonlight, like a little bit of like a moonlit shine. So the purple is kind of like a base highlight color that I chose, but then I also wanted to add some fun little highlights to like make the bat pop out a little bit more. So I added some light yellow stripes all around the wings to make it look like the moonlight is shining on it and kind of reflecting on it a little bit. This was just, again, very simple fun, like not really going for realism here, but I think it added like a cute little detail and just a little bit more, you know, sharpness, I guess, and like a little bit more form to the bat. And then of course I needed to add the cute eyes. And then since the like floor where the pumpkin sat was a bit bare bones, I decided let's add some grass, starting out with like a darker green all over the background, and then going in with a second layer with like a lighter green, and then an even lighter green for the like tiny highlights where the moon shines on it. I didn't want to like have the grass be too much of the focus, so I didn't like overdo it with the highlights, but I think it adds a little bit more dimension. And with that, everything was done. And again, these ghosts are more a proof of concept. Actually, when I hung the middle one up, I kind of put the eyes a little bit skewed, and I didn't notice because when I held it, I like was orienting a little bit on the folds, and the folds are a little bit like to the side. But I think it adds a little bit of derp. I think my favorite one is definitely the right one because like there's still like streaks of blue and stuff on it, and I think it looks really adorable. Just again need to like make the process a little bit different and improve it, and hopefully next year I will remember to do this project again. But yeah, it was still a lot of fun to create this. I think like really need to start out with like putting the fabric or the tissue like flat onto something and doing the paint pour then. But yeah, the canvases on the other hand, I absolutely am in love with. And I'm really happy that I decided to like dip them into the leftover paint. I think like the little washed out colors but still pastel add really quite a bit to the background. I think it's like still very much so cutesy Halloween, but like just a little more bright. And I like that. I think it really adds to the vibe. And, you know, all the cute little creatures, like the spider looks so fluffy. I want to cuddle it. The ghost is so cute, giving us the flower. I love like how the spider webs kind of disappear from certain angles on this painting. It was really hard to capture this on camera actually. So I went with the picture where you can see them like with light full on. And then of course the little bat, like I think this guy just was looking for like a cute little snack, and he was like, ooh, a pumpkin, perfect. So he's gonna land on the pumpkin and probably have a little feast there. And I think it turned out so cute, so simple, and again, I got really stuck into these canvases. So yeah, definitely, if you want to go for any kind of fun little decoration project, maybe even like on a like friends project night or something, do some very small canvas or like smaller canvas like paint pours and just paint tiny creatures on them. Or like anything you want really, of course. But anyways, let me know in the comments down below what you think of this project, mainly of the canvases. Again, I just wanted to share the ghosts because I think sharing failed projects sometimes is important. To like just show them off and show the ideas off, and hopefully next year we can improve on it. And yeah, I hope you have a great day as always, and see you next time. Bye bye!